They say moving is one of the most stressful things you can do. Now try doing it when the destination is over 5,000 miles away and you don't even speak the language.
Everyone wants to talk about the after photo, the mountains, the wine, the $900 a month ocean view apartment. But no one talks about the part where you have to sell your car, figure out if your bank account is going to freeze the second you try and buy a coffee in Tirana, because I got to have my coffee.
We spent decades in New Hampshire and the last 7 years here in Florida building a comfortable life. But as we get ready to head to Albania, we've had to figure out how to transition that life into something we can carry with us.
Today, we're opening up our pre departure playbook and walking you through the 8 step checklist we're using to handle everything from our mortgage, our careers, banking decisions, and make this financially possible.
We're sharing the real world logistics of how we're trading the familiar for the unknown, starting with the biggest anchor of all, our home.
Which, for the record, is a lot harder to fit into a suitcase than my favorite shirt.
For most people, their home is the biggest thing holding them back from traveling. It's a massive expense and a constant source of worry. In the slow travel world, there's a lot of pressure to sell everything and never look back.
But we weren't ready to do that. To be honest, we were hesitant about this whole trip until we realized it didn't have to be permanent, forever decision. We decided we could commit to 1 year, even if we weren't ready to commit to a total lifestyle overhaul.
There is a huge difference between going on vacation and choosing a lifestyle of travel. When you go on vacation, you keep all the usual expenses at home, the mortgage, the utilities, the car insurance, and then you add the cost of travel on top of all of that. That's how people go broke trying to see the world.
To make this a sustainable lifestyle, we had to look at how to eliminate those home expenses. We aren't just adding Albania to our budget, we're essentially swapping Tampa for Tirana.
That's why we're keeping the house, but changing how it functions. The timing actually lined up perfectly with my daughter's lease ending. She and her boyfriend will be moving in, which gets them out of the apartment lifestyle and into a familiar house with a fenced yard for their dog.
It's a total win win. They get a home they already know at a fair price, and our mortgage is covered. Plus, we aren't worried about someone calling us at 3 a.m. because they can't find the breaker box. You know where it is.
Not everyone is going to have a daughter ready to move in, but if you want to test this lifestyle out, you have to think about solutions like this. Whether it's a long term rental or a house sitter, finding a way to neutralize your biggest US expense is what makes the math actually work.
Keeping the house gives us an escape plan. If we get 6 months into this and realize the soul travel lifestyle isn't for us, we still have a place to come back to in Tampa.
Knowing we have that safety net actually makes it a lot easier to make the jump into a new adventure like this. But once you neutralize the house, you have to face the next big hurdle, which is actually coming up and committing to that adventure. For us, that meant getting serious about the flight logistics, which turned out to be a bigger puzzle than we had originally thought it was going to be.
We had a few options. One flight had a 90-minute layover in Germany that got us in Toronto at 9 p.m. The timing was okay, but we didn't want to be sprinting through a foreign airport stressing about whether we or our bags would actually make the connection.
Another option had a longer layover, but it didn't get us into Tirana until after midnight. And the last thing we want is to be dragging our suitcases through a new city at 1 a.m. trying to find our Airbnb.
So we chose the option most people would immediately dismiss, a 20-hour layover in Zurich, Switzerland.
It sounds crazy until you look at the energy map. We arrive in Zurich at 10:50 a.m. local time. We're going to take a 10-minute train ride into the city, have lunch at a cafe along the water, and just enjoy the city for a little bit.
We even splurged on a hotel right inside the Zurich airport. We'll check in, sleep, and be ready for our 7 a.m. departure the next morning. That puts us in Tirana at 9 a.m., refreshed, alert, and with a prepaid taxi waiting for us.
At least a little refreshed. Now, because the best flight we found actually leaves from Miami instead of Tampa, we had to figure out how to get across the state. Our options were a short connecting flight, a long bus ride, or finding another way.
We decided to start the trip with a little flair and reserved a luxury rental car for the one way trip to Miami. you're going to start a new adventure, you might as well do it right there in some style.
We'd been tracking this exact slightly crazy route on Google Flights and Capital One Travel for months. Capital One has a price protection feature. They let you know when to buy, and if the price drops later, then they'll cover the difference.
So on November 28th, when they said the price was right, we finally hit book. That was a point of no return.
But even then, we were still leaving ourselves a mental out. In our heads, we told ourselves that the worst case scenario, we decide that this isn't going to work for us and we can just turn it into a week-long vacation and just come on back home.
It made hitting that button and making the financial commitment feel a lot less like a permanent, terrifying decision and more like an exciting adventure.
We'll do a full video on the travel costs and the experience once we're over there. But for now, the goal was to make this trip feel as comfortable and enjoyable as we could.
But let's be real, booking a flight is just a quick adrenaline rush. Once that excitement wears off, you're forced to look at the next step in the process, which is what you're doing for your jobs. For us, that was a massive financial hurdle because it meant walking away from all of our in person work.
For me, as a BCBA, I had to transition my direct contact clients over to another practitioner. It's always incredibly hard to say goodbye to clients you care about, but to be completely honest, I'm looking forward to a break from some of the drama that's happening in the field of ABA right now, especially here in Florida.
While Amy is stepping away from direct client work, she isn't completely shutting down. She'll be continuing her own information and consulting business from the road, focusing on training and supporting other BCBAs digitally. But for my career, it wasn't a transition, it was a hard stop. I had to give notice at my job.
And because of Tom's role in his company, he couldn't just drop a 2 week notice on his boss's desk.
Well, I could have.
To make sure they had enough time to hire and train a replacement, he let them know 6 months in advance.
Telling your employer you're leaving half a year ahead of time is a strange psychological space to live in. You're physically there, but your mind is already somewhere else. But I carry our health insurance, so I was basically tied to the job right up until we left.
In the US, health insurance is the ultimate anchor. So the moment Tom gave his 6 month notice, we knew we had to immediately figure out how we were going to handle our healthcare abroad.
Exactly. We couldn't just wing it, wait until we landed. We had to research, compare plans, and have our international private medical insurance completely figured out before my last day.
We ended up choosing a plan through IMG, which will cover illness or injuries, big or small, but not preventative care or pre existing conditions. It only costs us about 16% of what we were paying for health insurance in the US. If you're thinking about this type of travel, we'll put a link in the description so you can see if IMG is right for you.
At first, the idea of not having preventative coverage sounds a little risky to an American. But when you look at the healthcare costs overseas, the math completely changes.
Healthcare in most of the rest of the world is so affordable that paying out of pocket for a standard doctor or dentist visit is often cheaper than our actual insurance copayments and deductibles back home. For us, paying cash for the minor things and having a major policy for emergencies was the smart move.
So, with insurance out of the way, we had to figure out what we were doing with all the stuff we own. We've been here in Florida for 7 years, and even though we downsized by half when we moved here from New Hampshire, we still managed to accumulate a lot of stuff.
So we look at your toolbox.
I don't think we need to know.
Since my daughter and her boyfriend are moving in, we didn't have to clear out every single fork and spoon, but we did have to completely change how our house is set up. We started by letting them go through the house and decide what furniture and household items they actually wanted to use while we're gone.
Whatever they didn't want either had to be sold, donated, or packed into a storage unit for the year. If it doesn't serve our life now or our life when we get back, it's gone. But the real challenge was the big stuff, specifically vehicles.
Living in Florida, we had a boat and 2 cars. The boat was the first big thing to go, which is a bittersweet process for anyone who loves being on the water like we do.
Then came the cars. Because Amy needed to drive to see her direct clients up until her transition, we couldn't sell my car right away. She actually finished up with her last in person client about 6 weeks before our departure date. That gave us some buffer time to get my car listed and sold.
We're keeping my car, but a good friend of ours is going to use it while we're away. With the major assets handled, we downsized our lives down to just the basics. We went through all of our clothes, strictly sorting them into what we are physically packing into our suitcases, what's going into storage, and what's getting donated. It forces you to be incredibly ruthless about what you actually need to live.
It's an exhausting process, but I did find one area where I was highly motivated to help. I took the responsibility for drinking all the alcohol left in the bar. I mean, you can't let good inventory go to waste. It's a tough job. Someone's got to do it.
Your sacrifice is duly noted. But while we were dealing with all the physical stuff, we were also setting up our banking so we could actually access our money overseas without getting hit by a bunch of hidden fees.
Albania is still a very cash forward country, so we knew we'd be using ATMs a lot. To avoid getting nickel and dimed on every withdrawal, we opened a Charles Schwab investor checking account. They actually reimburse you for all your foreign ATM fees at the end of every month. The only catch is that you do have to have a brokerage account with them to get it. But we already had one, so that was pretty easy for us.
Beyond the ATM fees, our biggest priority was financial redundancy. We made sure to have multiple credit cards from different banks ready to go. You never know when a card might get lost, stolen, or even physically damaged by an ATM machine.
And even though we plan on letting all of our banks know our travel dates, the reality is that fraud algorithms can be aggressive. Sometimes the bank will just randomly freeze a card for a transaction because they think it looks suspicious. And the last thing we want is to be stuck at a restaurant or grocery store in Toronto with no way to pay.
Or a coffee shop. Having those backup lifelines means if one card gets locked or frozen, we can just pull out a different one and deal with the customer service phone call later when we're back at our apartment.
The next thing on our list to take care of was the digital side of things, specifically how we're going to stay connected the second we land, and how we're keeping all those bank accounts secure from the other side of the world.
Phone plans are always a tricky part of moving abroad. We wanted to keep our T-Mobile plan specifically because my daughter is staying on the plan back home. The issue is that major US carriers don't typically allow you to use data overseas for extended periods of time without cutting you off.
But we found a bit of a workaround. From what we've heard, as long as more than 50% of the total data on the plan is being used within the United States, T-Mobile will generally let you keep your account active. Since Amy's daughter already uses more than double what the two of us use, it's a lot. This shouldn't be a problem.
We'll still keep a close eye on our data usage while we're over there. And if we need to supplement, we can easily buy an inexpensive eSIM. Keeping our US phone lines active is incredibly important because so many banking and investment apps require text message two-factor authentication to log in. If you lose your US number, you can easily get locked out of your accounts.
Along with keeping our numbers, the other non negotiable tool for a digital setup is a VPN. Using a VPN allows us to securely encrypt our connection, which is crucial when you're logging into bank accounts from public Wi Fi networks in airports or cafes.
It also allows us to mask our IP addresses so that digitally we still appear to be right here in the US. That means we don't have to miss out on our favorite US streaming services while we're away. We'll be using Surfshark, so we'll link to that in the description if you want to take a look.
So, with all the tech stuff sorted out, we had officially checked off the major items on our to do list. But getting the logistics on track is really only half the battle.
Once you handle the house, the cars, the bank accounts, you're finally left looking at the actual reality of what you're doing. Wrapping your head around leaving everything you know is completely a different challenge.
We spent decades building a life that was comfortable and predictable. When you step away from that, you're not just changing your address, you're changing your entire identity. Your daily routine, the places you go, the place people you see every day, all of that disappears overnight.
It forces you to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, which is not something we're so good at. We're trading a predictable suburban lifestyle in Florida for multiple cities where we don't know the streets, we don't know the local customs, and we have to learn a completely new language just to buy groceries.
But that's exactly why we're doing this. It's easy to get caught up in the traditional path of working, buying more things, staying in your comfort zone. But for us, we realize that time is the ultimate currency, and we wanted to spend our time exploring what else the world has to offer while we still can.
We aren't running away from our life here. We love Florida and we love the friends we have and the life that we've built. We're just running toward a different kind of reality. We wanted to see what life looks like when you prioritize experiences and freedom over stability.
It took months of planning, a few tough conversations, and a lot of box checking to get to this point. We'll be boarding that flight to Zurich on July 8th, 2026, and then on to Tirana.
We are incredibly excited to take you along on this journey with us. If you want to see how this transition actually plays out on the ground in Albania, the costs, apartments, food, and all the real world logistics, make sure to subscribe and follow along.
Thanks for watching, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.